in the GOP. But we're witnessing
What
a
is
tectonic shift in political realignment.
today we're gonna go
The
live.
Republican Party is now the party.
Sorry, I didn't go live
The
yesterday.
party of not wanting
Let's go.
American intervention abroad. And so we're talking about how we need to end forever wars. And you've got the Democratic Party that, in many ways, it's a lot of higher educated people, higher network people, and it's a flipping on ahead of what we thought of 20 years ago. I think a lot of people feel like they don't fit cleanly into either of them. In some ways, I feel that way. But he is right. Trump is the dominant force in Republican politics. I don't think it's going back, but I hope there's Republicans who work within the party to keep guardrails on it and to make it something, those of us who've been members of it our whole lives could be part of. So there's no to be justice. There's term limits for president, and there is an age minimum. You've got to be a certain age to be president. But you could be 120 and still be president.
Then why didn't anybody bring that up? They kept saying that somebody was too old.
Going backwards.
I don't think it's accurate to say that Mitt Romney was a vocal opponent and critic.
Let me see what the world record is real quick.
I think he still is. My point is, I don't think
which
he's
one
changed.
is it?
I think what I think you're hearing from Mitt Romney is Mitt Romney being realistic.
Piggy category extensions.
For people like Mitt Romney, like the Bushes, like a John McCain Republican, like me, frankly, we have zero space right now, zero influence. It doesn't feel that it's very
17. Okay.
This is certainly not on foreign policy, on social issues, on fiscal issues.
How are we gonna do that?
The Republican Party would be advocating for a tariff war. I mean, that's just it's supposed to be the free trade party. But this is where we are, and I think if Donald Trump had lost, we'd be talking about the resurgence and reinvention of the Republican Party. But Donald Trump won, and so most definitely his dominance over the party is a fact. Whether I like it or not, whether Nick likes it or not, it's okay.
But I agree. He is the party. And as I've been saying, I think that the Republican Party maybe needs to reframe the question instead of thinking about what the Democrats need to do. Maybe think about why is a convicted felon so attracted to this country, or why are we so attracted, so many of us who are convicted felon, and Elon Musk who said you will feel at the working class temporary hardships. Since when is the Republican Party? Yes, he is, and he's not going to have any temporary hardships. But then I'm kind of rethinking my thinking, and I do think that maybe it's time for the Democrats to do a little bit of this postmortem, because the Democratic Party has always been the party of the working class. It has always been. If you look at all the policies, they're for the people. And I think even myself, as someone who grew up in abject poverty from the Bronx, my parents lived paycheck to paycheck. They had to decide whether or not they were going to feed me or whether or not we were going to have heat. And I remember that. And I think I missed the boat in terms of realizing that there are so many Americans that still have that experience that I grew up with and that members of my family grew up with. And so I think we need to make space in this tent for the people that are really going to need it, because I got to tell you, I don't think the Republican Party is the party of the working class.
Wait, why am I doing some good clips?
And so it is up to those of us who remember how that feels or who cares about that to reach out and say, come back, we can help you. And I intend myself.
I'm just trying to get a world record.
To try to do that more.
What is interesting, because in the article he quotes, I forgot the exact quote, he said something about how it's become the party of college professors and, it's
I saw that clip.
Removed group of highly educated, and I think the conversations around that, because the people on the other side were voting for Donald Trump, oftentimes those voters were kind of put in a bucket of not being smart and spoken down to. So I think it's a strange thing, because I don't even fully identify what the Democratic Party is anymore. It's not recognizable to me. And the right, the same can go. The fact that they're becoming an isolationist party when that we see so much going on in the world and we understand the ramifications of the chess game and all of that. But I do think what's most interesting is that Donald Trump supposedly reached the working class, but I don't grasp what parts are going to benefit them. So was being heard enough? Was it just being heard by a candidate? Because his plans don't break down to help anyone.
But I do think it was trade deals feeling like America's being taken advantage of, and it affects the jobs that are largely working class and more industrial based, agriculture driven. And it was the border. It's not because they're like, oh, I'm nervous that somebody's going to come take my job. It's they know that big corporations take advantage of cheap labor, and those people are going to get employed where they're struggling to make ends meet. And I just want to say one thing, because Fetterman said something so interesting on the show we never discussed. I use the term, Donald Trump's a convicted felon. I can't support that. But I think a lot of this country feels like we put people in a box if they're a convicted felon, even if they served their time.
After the sun of
of
the show was taken, if they can do.
I think that they shouldn't be able to get ahead. I actually think that backfired for Democrats.
I gotta tell you, I am not a college graduate. I am not that person. I've never forgotten where I came from.
Yeah.
And I believe that all these things that people said, oh, I want my groceries, I want to take care of. I am going to sit and wait and see how he takes care of groceries. I want to see how he takes care of our health care. Not just our health care, but if somebody said, if you hire somebody who says these inoculations are wrong,
Only go on
you're
StreamYard.
not going to Europe, you're not traveling anywhere, because no one will invite us to their country because they don't want us bringing stuff in there. So I want to see. I know people had big high hopes and thought he was going to be the thing. And okay, you don't think that the Democrat? I am neither. There's no party for me. But I want to see what these folks bring. Because I don't believe that they're going to do the things that you think they're going to do, but we can only